Hey everybody, if you missed Snapshot this week, I just want to give you a quick video glimpse of what we did. Uh, I asked a question, how do most of us spend our time? And we talked about how we're different from most other creatures in the fact that we, as humans, spend our time creating things that kind of don't really do anything. Like, we have Wiis and PlayStations and Xboxes, which are really fun, but no other animal has anything like that. I told a story how every summer I used to play the old video game Zelda on the regular Nintendo. It takes about 8 hours, 6 hours, even if you know what you're doing. And at the end, it just has a screen that pops up for about 2 seconds, and it says, "The princess is saved, good job," and then it starts all over again. It wasn't really worth spending 8 hours of my life every summer, but I did it every summer except for maybe the last two. We have Guitar Hero down here that we've been playing before we went upstairs and talked. And I have a friend in college who was so good at Guitar Hero, he spent so much time on it, he could put a school bag on top of his head and he could play a song on Expert and he'd get in like the 90% range. So that was pretty crazy. And also I had another friend who almost failed out of school because he was playing this game called Ogre Battle a little too much. I won't say his name since we're on the internet, and yeah, not to embarrass him. But it was rough. He didn't go to class for a while, and it was really bad. So the main thing is these games can be really addictive. They're fun, they keep us entertained, they give us something to do when there's nothing else to do. And our hobbies can be like that too, because hobbies can require a lot of commitment to become good at them, no matter what they are. If you're a dancer, if you play music, if you're in sports, you know they take up a lot of time, especially if you're in sports or music and dance, and you know you go to practice every week and you spend a lot of time doing that. Paul asks us to treat our faith kind of like we treat our hobbies, something that requires a whole lot of commitment. Here's what he says in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, and a little bit of verse 9. "And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true, honorable, and right, and pure, and lovely, and admirable. Think about these things that are excellent and worthy of praise. Then the God of peace will be with you." Paul is encouraging us to get passionate about what God cares about. He's asking us to think about those things that are true and honorable and right and lovely. What are those things in life? They're probably not video games, and they're probably not sports or trying to become better at whatever our hobby is. They're things that God has placed on our hearts, like caring for other people and loving them and showing them who He is. I think those are the pure and lovely things in life. If any of you guys have ever played Oregon Trail, we talked about this. It's a game that you used to play. It was like the only game we got to play in school. It was on the computer, and you got to pick like a wagon train, and you went from the Midwest all the way out to Oregon. That's why it's called the Oregon Trail. And so you're in a wagon train, you got to pick like a party, so you can name them like your friends or your family or whatever. And then on the way you had to hunt for your food and ration the food that you had and make choices on the paths you would take. But anyway, I was always confused because people would get sick and then they'd die and you could get diseases. And one of the diseases was consumption. So they'd be like, "Brian died of consumption." And you're like, "No!" I never understood what that meant. I thought it meant that people ate too much food. So I would always turn down the rations on the food that people were eating because I thought that meant that they died because they ate too much. And then I got older and I realized that's not what consumption is. It's actually the disease tuberculosis. If you don't know what that is, it's just a disease that gets in your lungs and it fills it up so much that you don't have room to breathe in air. And no matter how healthy you are, it can really be a dangerous disease. If you look up consumption and the word consumption in the dictionary, it says something that is completely used up. So that got me thinking, what do I use my life up with? What takes up most of my time? What am I consumed by? If some of you know, I play guitar, and I could probably do that all day, every day, because I think it's fun and I enjoy it. But that's not what God's calling me to do. He's calling me to talk to people about Him and to help them through their struggles. If there's someone who doesn't have food to eat, and I have food and I don't give it to them, I'm not doing the right thing. And there are many, many times in our lives where stuff like that happens, where we just kind of pass by because we're consumed by what we think's important, and we're not so worried about anyone else. So this week, I want all of us to think about, what are we consumed by? What takes up our time? What do we put most of our energy and effort towards? And instead of being consumed by things of the world, things that are distractions from what God is calling us to do, what if we could be consumed by things that are good, things that God really cares about, those things that are pure and lovely and admirable? So I would love for you guys to think about what those things are, and we could continue to have a conversation about them. All right, thank you.